Betty hosts Words Carry Us, a series of live stream readings and interviews from Greenkill Gallery in Kingston, New York. Video is available on YouTube and Substack, and I've seen them and they're very good. All My Monsters Are Dead, or Why I Love Being Old, Betty's book of poems and essays, is available from Cod Hill Press. Let's give a big caps welcome to Betty MacDonald.
Thank you. Well, I'm delighted to be here, and I appreciate so much the opportunity. And I will start with a short piece that sums me up. My work is not nothing. I would do it anyway, even if it was. I was born and grew up in Richmond, Virginia, downwind from the source of the entire economy, the manufacturing of tobacco products. This first piece is called Smells Like Money. Shelley held up 2 nickels, trailing a tissue and flecks of dust on the car seat. I dug into the pockets of my jeans, retrieving a penny and a gum wrapper. We scored another nickel from under the seat. We had enough for a pack of Dominoes, the mild cigarette, bright red package with a graphic of Harlequin enrobed in crinkly cellophane. Tobacco, the backdrop of our lives and the backbone of the local economy, our family's business catered to a clientele of tobacco farmers and factory workers. Throughout our shared childhood, the highlight of weekly car trips to Hopewell to pick up Nana for Sunday dinner at our house was spotting the 2 giant cigarette packs in front of the Lucky Strike factory out on Petersburg Pike. Whenever the wind from the tobacco factory shifted in our direction, Daddy said, "Smells like money." Finally, we were 16 years old, with 16 cents between us, enough to purchase our first pack. Shelley gripped the thin red strip at the top and pulled, releasing the heady aroma of our hometown's premier crop. Even this low-end product emitted the splendid odor. "Don't smoke past this," Shelley commanded, pointing to the red line a third of the way down on the long white cylinder she'd selected. "Bad for your lungs." This next piece is Too Late. It was too late to add baking powder. He pondered the half-baked cake. It was too late to start over. It was too late to pick up another cake at the bakery, and too late to catch the train to Poughkeepsie if he did stop at the bakery. If he took the next train, it would be too late to get a ride with Sandy and Max. He'd never find the party on his own, and it was too late to reach anyone for directions. But it wasn't too late for him to remember. It wasn't too late to skip the party. If he skipped the party, maybe it wasn't too late to call Rose and Mickey for a drink. And maybe it wasn't too late to hook up with their friend Charlotte. Maybe if he and Charlotte hit it off, it wasn't too late to be more than friends. Maybe it wasn't too late for them to make a pact. If they were both single in 4 years, maybe it wasn't too late for them to marry each other. Maybe it wasn't too late to have a bunch of kids. And maybe it wasn't too late to buy a farm so the kids would have room to grow up. Maybe it wasn't too late to start a bakery specializing in party cakes. Maybe it wasn't too late to support the farm with the cakes and pastries. And maybe it wasn't too late for the kids to take over and run the farm and the bakery. And then maybe it wouldn't be too late for him and Charlotte to go back to writing poetry and being poets. This one is a memory of my childhood. It's called You'll Never Be as Beautiful. You'll never be as beautiful as your mother, the old guy told me. I think he'd been an admirer of hers in her beautiful days, an admirer or spurned lover, obviously still a fan. She trembled imperceptibly, hardly looked up. I, who had once been part of her body, was still young enough at 12 to be tuned in to her every sigh. The old guy probably had been good looking once, but not a catch. Now, with dyed black hair crowning his lined, leathery face, he repeated, "You'll never be as beautiful as your mother." I took his word for it. Although I often write about the many advantages of being old, I'm quite old. This is about the hardest thing for me, which is the hardest thing for me about getting old is giving up vanity. This is called, I Think I'm a Dish. Thanks to feedback from friends, I feel pretty good about how I look until there's a reality check involving a photo or a mirror. Recently, a magazine geared to those of us who have attained and passed the age of 50 launched a search to find older models, women and men to represent those elders who look good in their golden years. To my chagrin, the results of their search were presented in a photo essay. They had found the 5 or 10 people from 50 to 90 with firm chin lines who were also miraculously wrinkle-free. What about the rest of us? Doing our best without resorting to plastic surgery, Botox, and those wonder creams that keep popping up online. What did Ellen DeGeneres do to look better, younger, prettier at 56 than she did at 25? And did it hurt? Were little knives involved? Or bandages and weeks of sequester? Are there scars? I never minded wrinkles. It's the drooping chin line I abhor, and the deep furrows that run from my nose down past my mouth, which can be mistaken for sadness or anger if I forget to smile. I don't mind the deep lines that striate my cheeks or the crow's feet. I kind of like them. I like to think of them as decorations, like face tattoos on the Maori warriors. A few years ago at a writer's event celebrating a newly published anthology in which my essay was included, the ubiquitous cameras came out. As the publisher threw her arm around me and smiled for the shot, I muttered, "I hate having my picture taken." "Why?" she admonished. "Because I think I'm a dish." She looked puzzled. "Until I see a photo of myself, I think I'm gorgeous," I added for clarification. "You are," she said, admiring. "You are gorgeous." After a pause, I answered, "You have no idea how gorgeous I think I am." The funeral. At my cousin's funeral, I wanted to throw myself into her open grave on top of the coffin. I wanted to feel the earth shoveled on top of me. Not so much out of despair, although there was that, and deep sorrow as well. I wanted the experience. The impulse seemed natural, but there wasn't much room in the hull once the coffin was lowered. Had I followed my instincts and jumped, I wouldn't have fallen far. Wouldn't have fallen far before landing on the wooden lid of the box with the Star of David, announcing to the world that the person inside had the blood of Abraham and Sarah in her veins. The urge to jump was strong, not for the drama or to make a statement to the others. The truth is, it was the presence of the others that stopped me. Instead of jumping, I clung to my granddaughter's silky hand, leaned against my grandfather's tombstone, and imagined I had become a conduit between them. These are your people, I conveyed to her wordlessly, as much responsible for your existence as the beautiful Irish great-grandmother so many of your siblings and cousins resemble, as a hardy Scots great-grandfather whose name you carry. The truth is, she doesn't look like her great-grandmother Ruth. She looks like me.
Wonderful.
This is called a voluntary invalid. How easy to give in to the siren call of despair and escape into depression. How easy to take to my bed like Helen's mother when her husband died. Living on, propped up on pillows with a view of the garden, meals offered on a tray. A voluntary invalid for many years before the death she longed for finally claimed her. And this is about the finches. This is called Niger Seeds for the Finches. Yesterday, I put out Niger seeds for the finches. It's been more than a year since a bear climbed the porch railings and grabbed the finch feeders, bypassing the hummingbirds' 3 glass bulbs of sugar water. I imagine how the bear could have crushed the delicate glass to suck out the sweetness. But that didn't happen. The bear preferred the Niger seeds. I heard the bear again last night, a sound like a human sound. Too sleepy to get up and look, I convinced myself it was not a scary human sound, but a bear sound. I'm not afraid of bears. In the morning, the porch screen had small claw holes, and the Niger feeders lay empty, side by side, at the edge of the woods. This one's called That Voice. In that voice, she quelled my longing to become a sculptor. You'd have to study anatomy, she announced, as if studying anatomy was the most unattainable choice I could make. In that tone, shutting down my hope, any hope I had of fulfillment, of becoming a whole human being and figuring out how to be in the world. With that voice, she cut me off, obscuring my path through the labyrinth of childhood. I became a sculptor anyway. I never studied anatomy. This is Princess Lefty. Until I broke a bone in my right hand, I wasn't aware that my left hand is something of a princess. A kind and helpful princess available to assist my dependable workhorse right hand when necessary. But a princess, nevertheless. Unlike my right hand, Princess Lefty is never fully in charge of any activity. Princess Lefty is unaccustomed to taking on the simplest jobs, tasks my right hand usually does automatically, like unscrewing jar tops and turning doorknobs. My right hand, demoted to helper because of a splint on my third and fourth fingers, offers clumsy assistance and often screws up. While rotating a key in the ignition to start the car, the splint sticks out awkwardly and accidentally knocks into the windshield wiper controls and turns it on. Princess Lefty, the better looking of my two hands, would be more comfortable lying on a velvet pillow, being admired and photographed, uninvolved in life's concerns. Princess Lefty complains achingly about having too much to do. Even when it broke my fall, accompanied by the sound of one of its tiny bones snapping, my right hand, the injured one, hardly complained. This is called Every Loss. Every loss brings back all my losses. My parents, my brother, that boy in high school I didn't know I loved until I found out he was dead. My ex, my son. I can hardly take a breath in this heavy, grief-laden air. Without breath, I shut down. Without breath, I'm likely to start a fight, have a fit, or both. This is called Scene, S-C-E-N-E, Seen, S-E-E-N, and Unseen. The attack began abruptly. Even the aggressor didn't know in advance. Over the pods of conversation, her voice caught fire. She ended her tirade screaming, "F you!" and fled. Only relief to everyone within earshot. The attack hung in the air like mist. A cloud we tried to ignore clung, invisible, nevertheless. As for me, whether I remembered or not, I would never be the same, marked as I was by her rage. Memory like a cell phone. Like a misty movie, a memory appears and fades. I reach for the last strands of it, a word, an image. It'll come back, I assure myself, as it disappears into the cracks of my consciousness. As I turned into the driveway, my cell phone slid across the passenger seat and whacked the inside of the door. I parked the car, forgetting about the phone, until later when I couldn't find it. I texted my daughter. "I called 3 times," she responded. One more time, I implored. I'll check the car. As I approached it, the whole car was ringing. If only my daughter could call the lost memory that slipped through the spaces of my mind, just as a cell phone slipped between the passenger seat and the door. If only she could call it, it would ring. The memory would return, full of color and images. If only. I want to say that I didn't write for a little while because I was so alarmed by the politics that is going on in the news that's going on in the world. And I felt that I didn't want to write about politics or how terrible things might get. And I worried that what I wrote, that worried that I should bother to write. And then I read an account that Edgar Carrot wrote. He's an Israeli writer whom I like very much. And he said that he had talked to someone who had been a captive and that there were books who didn't know his work, but there were books where this captive was. He was in prison. And one of the books was Edgar Carrot's book, and he had never even heard of him. And he read that book and he read it and read it. And once he was no longer imprisoned, and he was back, and he spoke to Carrot, and he said, it's important that this writing about how it can be, how it is, how it was, that writing is still available. So that's why I returned to writing. This is called Tornado in the Maple Tree. Early spring sun lights up new leaves like a lantern. Wind so fierce it twirls the branches. The maple tree, a ballerina on point. Swirling hail rips the screen on the other side of the porch. The sound of wind and clatter of hailstones awakens 4-year-old Gillen, no longer napping, on the flowered couch. I sit close beside him so he won't be scared. His startled eyes open, take in the scene. Grandma's tornado, he reports. A scar remains on the screen where the hail hit, a memento of the time long ago. There was a tornado in the maple tree. This is called I Wish My Mother, Part 2. I wish my mother had lived until I developed my real voice. But it was her death that released it and allowed my voice to emerge. Am I a clone of my mother? Does my very existence stifle the real voices of my children? Will they speak more clearly when I die? Will that make dying worth it? And these are some summer poems called The Pond. A rippling mirror, frogs, fish, and wood ducks gather. The heron watches. Sunlit yellowfish, a green dragonfly appears, as if by magic. Over by the bank, 6 orange fish tread water. A turtle joins them. Bright trees reflected in the water. In late October, summer ends. The pond is my altar, and the rock ledge where the turtles take the sun, and the woods beyond. So I have two more short-ish poems.
Sounds perfect.
I want to be perfect. You knew that, right? Um, this is called As We Turned into the Driveway. As we turned into the driveway, we each uttered a sound. Hers, a murmur of disgust at the wild, neglected landscape. Mine, an exclamation of delight as the approach of the car flushed out a cloud of fireflies rising like tiny flickering stars from the brambles and weeds into the descending darkness, into the dusky air. And this is my last poem. I often end with this poem just because it's my favorite. It's called Standoff with a Blue Heron. Startled, he unfurled his sail-like wings and rose from where he stalked the grassy bank. Hey, I yelled. The blue heron took off flying low across the pond. You! It's hard to know what words to use when a wild bird of prey, no matter how astonishingly beautiful, is eyeing beloved koi. The truth is, he may be focusing on the frogs, which are smaller than the fish and have few sharper edges. After a 2-year hiatus, frogs have returned. I've missed their splashing as I approach, and their night song. A turtle resembling a clump of dirt or a good-sized rock, the very opposite of the elegant bird, appears in the shallow water among the feeding fish. Mud and grass cling to its shell. The featureless head reaches out, grasping fish pellets, each gulp a tiny splash. Standing defiantly on the opposite bank, like a crane on an ancient Chinese scroll, the heron, expert at hiding, takes one haughty step behind a leafy branch. I can still see you. Or is that a patch of dappled sunlight?
Whoa, exquisite, Betty. Absolutely riveting.
Thank you so much.
Your craft of concision has somehow become an expansive vision enabler in you. You pull it in your writing, and it says more. I'm not sure how you did that. It's sort of like reading Joyce. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to open it up for everyone. And anybody who wants to unmute and comment, please do.
Yeah, I would like to. First of all, I mean, she could read the telephone book
I
and
agree.
it would be beautiful. But the very fact that her words are so beautiful, you put the two of them together, and by the way, you're still a looker.
Thank you.
Yes, you are.
I find that whereas many works come across as prose and turgid prose at that, and it's kind of the trend today, but somehow, I won't say all of your work here, in my opinion, Ms. MacDonald, but a lot of it, you made it work as poetry, although it was almost as if it were chopped up prose, but it wouldn't have worked as prose. It would have been turgid. But when you present it as poetry, it works. It's valid.
I agree with that.
I don't know how to explain what I mean. I do know what I'm saying.
Good. That's pretty good.
It's
Anyone else want to say a thing or so?
Hi, this is Kim. I just want to say, Miss MacDonald, I enjoyed everything you read. There's a joy
Mm,
to every story, especially the bear story. At first, I was a little scared. I was like, "Oh, is the bear going to come in her house?" But there's this joy that just touches that child heart of mine, and so and that's not easy to do. So I could just listen to you read for hours. Thank you for everything you presented.
Thank you so much.
Yes, I'll second that. I could listen to you
mm.
forever, and I guess maybe it's the fact that it doesn't quite rhyme like some people think poetry should rhyme, as you just heard, or maybe it's the way you read it and present it, which was exquisite. It's peaceful and enlightening and comforting, and I mean that's something we really do need now. And you didn't follow, or you decided not to follow a path of resistance or speaking about all the terrible stuff that's going on now. You went and spoke about the beautiful things that you have experienced, and I think that's important. It shows. I mean, it's just perfect.
Thank you. Thank you. Means a
You're
lot.
welcome.
That means
Thank you.
all these comments are, thank you. They're just lovely. I wish you'd write it all down so I can visit it.
Well, do look at chat, scroll up and see that people were responding right and left. Yes,
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
that's okay. It's charming that you do in this social media age that you did forget. Okay, we'll start, unless anybody has a compelling reason to take 5. We'll start with our somewhat imperfect open mic list. The first is Maggie Hall. Maggie, are you? Oh dear.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Okay, that was wonderful. I had to uncatch myself from those words. Okay, I've got I just got this book from the library. They were giving out books at the local TAFE library out the front, and one of them is so I've got a sticker on it, classic Australian poems. I'm not a classic Australian poem person, but I just opened it up and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna read some of this, and then in between I'll intersperse it with some things that I've written over the past couple of days. This is Mulga Bill's Bicycle by Banjo Patterson, and I'll intersperse it with some bits and pieces that I've done here. 'Twas Mulga Bill from Eaglehawk that caught the cycling craze. He turned away the good old horse that served him many days. He dressed himself in cycling clothes, resplendent to be seen. He hurried off to town and bought a shining new machine. And as he wheeled it through the door with air of lordly pride, the grinning shop assistant said, "Excuse me, can you ride?" I cry thinking, this is the last archival submission. Not sure if I'll write again. A life partner is hard to lose in a game of poker. Caught between a chip in the machine code. It's not easy when the one you love has transversed. I'm caught in a family history affirmation they will never write. The setup, the action, an ending in the ghost town during the sale of 99 illustrations. I turned the page to see someone that looks just like me show up as a human. Are we born into the symphony looking for a composer? "See here, young man," said Mulga Bill, from Walgett to the sea. From Conroy's Gap to Castlereagh, there's none can ride like me. I'm good all round at everything, as everybody knows. Although I'm not the one to talk, I hate a man that blows. Now I've gone through menopause, I feel like a gay man in a sex guide, masturbating with aim to perfect every intercourse, to get in touch with the forgotten fantasy, this thing they call projection, just a duplicate chip. It's Monday and I'm caught in a daydream. But writing is my special gift, my chiefest soul delight, although I'm not the one to talk. Just ask a wild duck. Can it swim? A wild cat? Can it fight? There's nothing clothed in hair or hide or built of flesh or steel. There's nothing walks or jumps or runs on axle, hoof or wheel. But what I'll sit while hide will hold and girths and straps are tight. I'll ride this here two-wheel concern right straight away at sight. I'd like to list a few things you can explore during a genetic memory test. Dolphins rubbing erect penises against a tank floor. A head chopped off into a basket. The lowering of a steel sheath following ejaculation. Moody, hypersensitive spasms, trembling, twitching, seized by the feeling. Known risks committed to the program of marriage in an outdated institution of fears and consequences. Riding motorbikes while still a virgin. Can you describe an orgasm signal in rhythmic contradiction? 'Twas Mulga Bill from Eaglehawk that sought his own abode, that perched above the Dead Man's Creek, beside the mountain road. He turned the cycle down the hill and mountain for the fray, but ere he'd gone a dozen yards, it bolted clean away. It left the track and through the trees just like a silver streak. It whistled down the awful slope towards the Dead Man's Creek. It's in the passing away of a father figure that I took the next mother. Between a man and woman, there is only sex in filters, represented with a promiscuous line. They played a dinner to an empty sewing table with 5 slices of canned beetroot. A beautiful presentation. We laugh and quip to the challenge while they turn it into sweet potatoes. Mixing sinews and muscle bones while digging for gold, the excavated bottles soil seed change in a continuous move. Attack of the puppet people wearing masks. I'm not here. I'm in the screen shop wearing surgical gloves. It's a midnight movie double in the village of giants. I remember the moment as if it were yesterday. 'Twas Mulga Bill from Eaglehawk that slowly swam ashore. He said, I've had some narrow shaves and lively rides before. I've rode a wild bull round a yard to win a £5 bet, but this was the most awful ride that I've encountered yet. I'll give that two-wheeled outlaw best, it's shaken all my nerve, to feel it whistle through the air and plunge the buck and swerve. It's safe at rest in Dead Man's Creek, we'll leave it lying still. A horse's back is good enough henceforth for Mulga Bill.
Yay.
But was that okay? That was
Oh,
very,
yeah. I
so
thought,
right.
I
So
thought,
wonderful to be back in this most perfect space,
oh, it is a
dear
very
friends.
nice, Maggie, and I'm glad to see you back
Yeah.
after a while. Very glad. You
Yeah.
bring so many different creative slants. Some of you, I know what I'm talking about, but your found poetry and inventive reconnections are brilliant and cleansing, like water from Fuji or Tahiti or something. I don't know. I can't think.
Water from the duck's mouth.
That's
You.
Thank you, Ray.
Okay.
Okay.
okay. Our next reader is Jim Seegert.
There I am. I'm up. You can hear me. So I see that quite a few people kind of got on board, I edited down what I was going to read. I've got two very, very short pieces about autumn. And then something that's a combination of a long, long memoir and current everyday event. First one's called Autumn Sounds. The whirl of leaves rustling down my street, like so many trick-or-treaters scurrying before the wind. That was just published in the Hudson Valley Writers Workshop in the anthology. In early summer in the city. Light fades quickly now. Street lights glow by 7. It's crisp, but not cold. I sit on my stoop, watching passerby, watering my yard, a dog by my side, a hose in my hand, deep in my thoughts. Traffic whirling by, wondering when the ginkgo tree will turn. So I won't even preface this. I hope the writing tells the story. The old neighborhood. I don't write much about my early childhood. For whatever reasons, it wasn't bad. It was stable. I spent 7 years, K through 6, in the same school. Mid-1950s through early 60s, an era of noteworthy change. Peering through lunchroom windows, I saw coal being unloaded. The rattle, the dust. Before it ended, replaced with gas. I recall locomotive whistles from the old B&O. We dashed to classroom windows to watch them steam by. When replaced with diesels, our enthusiasm died. A Mercury capsule briefly adorned our stage. Parents of many students, they're employed by NASA. Here is where I learned my ABCs. To read and write. Hallowed is this ground. That wouldn't prevent them from ripping the old school down. Swapped out for a library. I thought it ironic, nice, cool, zen in a way. If they would invite my book to dwell on the site where this author learned to read and write on those old school grounds at the end of the street. It was agreed. So home I'll travel, back to my roots, venerated in print by means of a book to ultimately rest on that sacred turf at the very end of my street in the old neighborhood. Thank you.
Well done, Jim. Well done.
I mean, I've got more, but it looks like that's good for time.
That's good. That's good, Jim. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Greg.
Next person up is Maria.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. Sorry. Okay. This piece is, let's see. Let me just find it. Here it is. Okay. This piece actually appeared in New Verse News. They don't remember when we were. They don't remember when we were the immigrants, the sharecroppers, the unskilled laborers standing on corners waiting for work. Maybe it was the Hell's Gate Bridge or the dangerous bowels of the subways. Sharing low-lit tenements with men piled high, swapping pillows, sheets, and beds as they returned from the morning shift, the evening shift. The stench of those men-filled quarters. No women to dress for, to clean for, to shave for. A society of men, clammy in winters and in summers, hot, hot, saving meager wages split with padroni and landlords before sending bits and pieces home to bring wives and children here to this foreign place, trying to remember why they left home. Was it that bad? Yes, it was. Wives don't tell the men in their letters of the famine, the deaths, a silk thread of hope spanning the Atlantic. To feel whole again, not so alone, to be human instead of imitating animals in the daily routine. Wake, work, sleep, nothing in between. No rises or falls or celebrations, or clean towels or bread on the table, set for 4, 6, or set at all. Eating while standing becomes a skill on the corners, waiting for the work. If the policeman doesn't move them to another corner, stepping into strangers' cars, a dangerous deal for a day's work. Now the men speak with accents from Mexico, Guyana, India, but they're not so different from our grandfathers and uncles, shifting from one foot to the other to keep warm, expecting a day's pay by nightfall. But who can tell? They have no choice. My mother recalls the stories of her father, brothers. She cannot understand the nieces and nephews who don't see their ancestors' faces before them. My mother lived to 103 and couldn't believe she lived long enough for her nieces and nephews to become extremely conservative. This is a short piece. This is a haibun, so it has a funny little haiku in the bottom. The places I must go. My therapist tells me to make a list of all the places I love, the places I have gone alone, the places I will go alone, the places that are not wrapped up with you. So I imagine a corner of the Metropolitan Museum where the marble Cyclades figurines are on display. Lean, simple, serene, spectacular in alabaster, white, spotlighted and haloed. How calm, how firm, these wise, ageless females. I first saw them in Athens without you, but planned to take you there. Today, circles of them, folded arms, blank faces, stand against red velvet walls inside vitrines like Vestal virgins. But no, these females have lived and stood, are standing still, sensuous, as if curved and cut from the same petal or leaf in silence. And the little haiku is, figurines on loan for 25 years, as lives are also borrowed. And this one I picked up, it'll be my last one. I picked out for Betty, actually. I couldn't resist. It's for you. Like no one's watching. I fell for it the minute I saw it with a little help from my youngest sister, who didn't hesitate to point out the cranberry Toyota, like Christmas, Thanksgiving, like the perpetual reds we wear on our lips now, striving to perk up olive skin tones, growing more and more sallow with age. Compare lipsticks, glossy or matte for older lips that have lost their definition, as creeping feathered lip lines or creases slip in the edges of once pouty, fleshy, sexy, come-on mouths. And so Google will steer us to why these things happen, from sipping through straws, smoking, bad living, and the loss of collagen. Talking and smiling exacerbate the lines, chasing lip volume, but life without talking or smiling is hardly worth living. Toss out the die-hard youth-driven images of faces without wear. Faces so clean and polished, a life unlived. No anger, no passion, just sheer, white, pure, untouched, virgin to the vicissitudes of loss. Skin folds and creases as we sleep. Should we stay awake to watch the show, to avoid the inevitable, to banish lip wrinkles and lines, plump them up vertically, horizontally, or exfoliate, scrub the fine, satiny surface of our lips with hyaluronic acid, peptides, and antioxidants? Better yet, kiss the person next to you. Make sure he's not a man baby who won't appreciate the gesture. No matter the social disorder and havoc you will wreak, because at a certain moment, the world is no longer watching. You will replenish moisture, passion, and the need to throw your head back and laugh your lips off. Thank you.
Greg, you're muted.
Oops, I just saw that. And so, yes. Lenny, are you ready?
Oh, okay.
That's okay. I got confused myself. I was muted.
I didn't hear you, so okay, good.
Yeah, I was muted.
So this is a poem that I was gonna kind of just put off to the side, thinking, it's too sentimental and whatever. And I sent it out to a few places, and I-70 Review picked it up, and I just got my copy today. And I looked through, was it yesterday? Anyway, I looked through it, and Ken Holland has a poem in it as well. I think most of you guys know Ken, right?
Yeah.
And also, after I-70 picked it up, it appears in my new chapbook from Slipstream, Pandemonium. And it's called The Invention of New Year's Eve. It's a prose poem. It kept on snowing. Half the boozed up grown-ups and all us kids in PJs followed you out of the house, giddy with anticipation of it. The bells. That's what time it was. That's what you called it. Even before I knew what it was, I believed in it because you gave it a name. It sounded like a church with toys in it, like stars if you could only cup your ear to midnight. Something that could make magic animals sparkle on the front lawn. I hoped it would. Something called the bells must be keen. And it kept on snowing because you wished for it, and so did I, Ma. The rest of the family inside, singing Auld Lang Syne. The Isens and O'Donnells, wary neighbors at their blinds. What the hell is that noise? But we didn't care. It was the bells, and half the family froze their asses off at 12. You gave us wooden spoons, pots and pans, and said, do this, and we did. With all our might, we beat them in the middle of the street, a festival of jesters and buffoons. And the whole world shined like a cloud with a big old moon in it. It kept on snowing. It was crazy cold, but I didn't want it to end. I loved the bells, Ma. I wish I could tell you how much. Thanks.
Really, really good. Yeah. Thank you, Lenny. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Chris Bogart, you're up.
Thank you. One of the things I would like to mention, first of all, is the feature was really unbelievable. And yeah, thank you very much for what she read. And I just dropped something. All right. But what I wanted to do is address something she said. And that was that as a poet, A lot of poets find themselves not knowing what to do at this stage of the game because they have strong feelings, but they just don't know what to do with it. And they don't know whether they're going to offend their friends and neighbors if they say something. For many of you know what this book is. It's 83 poets. Some of you are here, and it was put out in April, and it already has raised $1,000 for the ACLU. This is a book of poetry about what we're going through right now and how we feel about it. One of the things I wanted to quote from is not mine. It's Amanda Gorman, who said on February 9th at a Meet the Press when she was interviewed, you will hear they buried us, but they didn't know we were seeds rather. The reason that there's a poem and not a 36-page essay at the bottom of the Statue of Liberty, when we are trying as a people to speak to our best shared common humanity, typically poetry is the rhetoric that encapsulates the very best of us. So I've kind of yielded to that situation. I'm going to read, if I can, one poem from this book that I have in it, and it gave the book its title. And I'm going to be at the March Saturday, and this is the sign I'm going to be. Anyhow, it's called The Price of Silence. Silence is sometimes defined as the absence of sound, but silence is really the absence of action. Silence, however, is always profound. It punctuates, communicates, sometimes in pages, most often in volumes. Silence counts its victims not in hundreds or thousands, but in hundreds of thousands, in millions. Silence has forever been complicit in the silencing of the voices of millions of souls in Uganda, Rwanda, in Cambodia and Armenia, in Auschwitz and Dachau, in Bergen-Belsen, and in Baba Yar. Stone column, wrong page. Silence is cowardice. Its lips sealed as our most basic freedoms are held hostage to the absence of protest, the absence of action, the absence of sound. Silence is all of these, but most of all, for all of these, silence is consent. And then there's one more that I'd like to read, and it's, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the fact that Bad Bunny was chosen to do the halftime at the Super Bowl, and white America is losing its mind over that. So what I decided to do on Saturday Night Live, he said, I worked with Puerto Rican kids since the 1960s, and I taught for 40 years, and about a third of the kids I taught were Puerto Rican. So I'm pretty familiar with the bilingual culture and with what Puerto Ricans have done in America as well. So I wrote this poem called Be a Bad Bunny, Bad Bunny. By the way, in case you don't know, Bad Bunny got his name. He was forced to be in a play when he was younger, and he had to wear a bunny costume, and he hated it. So he had this really bad look on his face, and his mother called him a bad bunny. So that's why he's called Bad Bunny. And the subtitle is Soy un conejo malo, Bad Bunny. And the reason why I'm doing a little of it in Spanish is because he said, you have 4 months to learn Spanish. Which, by the way, was the first language spoken in the continental United States. Bad Bunny, do you really think that you, on the NFL dime, Could chuck a roll of paper towels the way that President Trump once did at Guaynabo, Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria? Why not whip his bounty right back at him, Bad Bunny? Not a lob, but a burn, a tight spiral with dead-eyed aim at his orange head and bleach blonde hair. Be a Bad Bunny, Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny, how many of your undocumented fans could afford to buy tickets for the Super Bowl? Probably the same number eligible for Medicaid. So please give the maggots a show they'll never forget. To Bunny, eres el rey de todo Puerto Rico, un boricua de la tierra de guerreros taínos. Canta tus canciones en el idioma de Lorca y enoya a los maggots que pagaron caro para escucharlas. Sé el mejor conejo malo que puede ser. I'm sorry, those of you who really love Spanish, for what I just did. You, Bunny, are the king of all Puerto Rico, a Boricua from the land of the Taino warriors. Sing your songs in the language of Lorca and piss off the maggots who pay dearly to hear them. Be the best bunny, the best Bad Bunny you can be. Thank you.
Very good, Chris. Very good. And I put a link to the Silence's Consent book on Amazon.
Thank you.
If you scroll up maybe a little bit in chat, you'll see it. Okay. Our next reader is Judy, followed by Mary Louise and Bob. Okay.
You.
Judy.
I have a couple of poems. The first one is called The Floor is Hot Lava. I am holding this child and I cannot put her down. The floor is hot lava and the street is full of beasts. The corners sprout devils every morning and poison snakes fall from the sky. She has no shoes, so I carry her every day, no matter how tired my arms get. I switch her from hip to hip. She was heavy when I first picked her up, and she isn't getting any lighter. She whispers in my ear, cuckoo clocks and red-tailed hawks, and it's hard to hear myself think with all her chatter, but I cannot put her down. The sharks will get her. Even on land, there are deadly creatures who have learned to walk upright. Alleys between buildings, vacant staircases, basements with single light bulbs hanging from the ceiling next to tiny pull chains that turn them off. She will wander away, and I will never find her. I've been holding this child for years, and I cannot put her down. The floor is hot lava, and the streets are full of beasts, devils on every corner. Poison snakes fall every day from the sky. And my second poem is called Shopping for Pots at Goodwill. My orchid is starving for air, according to a friend. It's the shy, white kind of orchid that blooms persistently for 6 months, then drops its blossoms on the floor like little cotton nightgowns cast aside quietly, scarcely soiled but limp from heat and sleep. My friend said I might find a pot at Goodwill, since everyone loves orchids, but few can keep them. The pots you want, she said, have holes in the sides so the roots can breathe. But the pots I find at the back of the store among the miscellaneous gravy boats and tureens are ordinary ones, closed up terracotta pots made for sturdy plants that love being buried, not delicate plants with aerial roots. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Judy. Thank you. Okay, our next reader is Judy. No, I'm sorry. What's Judy? Mary Louise. Uh-oh, is she gone?
I think she signed out, Greg.
Oh, okay. Then Bob.
Okay, two recent poems. Okay. The almost paints what cannot, what is never, but seen beneath the imagined sky becomes an almost that deceives us.
Mm. Mhm.
And the second one, the garment inscribed with the names of those who have worn it. Her prayers no longer a way of finding the light. Each step taken, a trail the others must follow. Their songs no longer a map. Thank you.
Concise and wonderful, as usual.
Thanks.
Yeah, indelible. Okay, unless Mary Louise has rejoined us, no. Scott.
Let's see, where is that thing? You know, I don't believe this. I completed a poem earlier today, and I wanted to read it. Well, I guess I'm going to have to read something else. Yesterday's problems. Quote, habit-forming grief, mismanagement, and pain. End quote. From W.H. Auden, September 1st, 1939. 1. Rain falls, naming fades. Mobs. Dr. King, Malcolm, told you so. Farmers plow, soil dreams. 2. I wanted paleontology. What if I transitioned into desert, field? I found dragon's bones beneath concrete. Children, people. 3. An old house, a dreamed neighborhood. Next term's insurance bills. Wealth gone before desire. Quote, as I realized the betraying, the sky darkened. End quote. 4. In the photograph, a child is reading, chanting. Leave her be, she will be. 5. Alleys, illusory boulevards. We become the ghosts we claim to escape.
Wow.
Do I have time for another or?
Sure, another relatively short one, sure.
Yeah. I try to keep them short.
I've noticed that.
Well, that's how I think, ideally, my poetry at least should be. I read that, you know. Well, I'll read this. I revised this quite extensively, but it still isn't the one I'm looking for. Blindness within. 1. Blazing from the east, blinds the young, bewilders the old. The bulk of the ogre shelters the children. 2. The emperor parades, naked mobs pursue. Screaming for Barabbas with a rap sheet, quote, rap sheet, end quote, an arm long. Bring him back. His wife needs the discipline. Streets need the drugs. 3. People do because they can. People die. They must. Sometimes there is nowhere but here. History shelters all. one thing I can say with quite some authority, I was involved with numerous causes for I say 4 decades because it was like 82, I swung radical left, and I sort of shifted by default around 2020. So that's roughly 4 decades. And I can tell you, you don't have to believe me, but things are often not what they seem. I saw a lot of backstabbing. I saw a lot of hypocrisy. I saw a lot of people preach very desirable goals while rapidly pursuing other goals, other intentions.
I understand what you're saying, Scott. There's a
Believe me.
logic. There's a logic to what you're saying. And I think that there's hypocrisies whenever humans have to engage with each other, and we have to engage with each other. Hence the difficulty, I guess.
Well, hey, what can I say? I talked to before I found myself shifting by default. I shifted by default. I was in the same place I always was. But I talked to a lot of so-called conservative people.
I understand.
And believe me, like
Yeah.
humans everywhere, they don't necessarily fit the stereotypes. Thank you.
Okay, we got to move on. We got to keep moving here. We've got a big crowd. Thank you, Scott. I always admire your work. Iyse, are you ready? Okay.
Sure, thank you. I have my first one is called Geese and Anarchy. I sit on my almost frosty front porch, wrapped in your blue fleece, hot cacao steaming in my cup. An echelon of geese in perfect and cacophonous formation angle overhead. How does the lead bird communicate exhaustion, I wonder? Not through text, for sure. Doubtful is through aggression or harsh words. No fast lane or road rage observed. Is there resentment from its phalanx when fatigue sets in? Geese, I've learned, have a collective understanding. They shift lanes based on principles found in Emma's anarchist handbook. Carrier pigeons distribute tiny scrolls of treatise tied to their legs. The harmony from being in unison would be astounding. Voluntary cooperation for an organism larger than a protozoa, more like a planet. I understand the magnetism to birding. To a flock, a cloud, a covey, a troubling, a scold, a pretense, a festival, a storytelling, a wake, a raft, a prayer, an omniscience, a charm of hummingbirds. These geese are a revolution, an angular liberation. I will be a bird again, nest and chicks, trill and song, my way set by innate intuition, by sun and star and constellation, by scent and cryptochromes, navigating. Second is called But Then a Hummingbird. It feels like a long walk to my garden, down 5 stairs, through a row of English boxwood and across a small swath of my front yard where the garter snake suns. One sunflower stands tall, a seed carried home from 4th grade nature class, pilfered in his pocket. He knows I like to plant flowers. My oregano weathered winter, as I guess did I, not thriving, but existing, needing more nourishment than this rocky North Hill. The tomato is reddening, yes, just one, and the celery still squat is all frond, rebellious against growth, like many I know. My leeks, thin as my pinky, have defied change too. I am too worn to cry, to lament how the seeds I planted don't flourish, to acknowledge that with the added bags of compost mixed with good intent and love, they still don't thrive, my seedlings. Then a hummingbird, dives into the red rock trumpet, besting my sigh. Thanks.
That was wonderful. These geese are a revolution. I'll never hear them honk overhead and think the same way again. Okay. Ron, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Yeah, just this month, my 10th poetry collection was published. Even though it's the 10th, it's got some of my earliest poems in it. And it's from a time when I wrote what I think was my best poetry. This is You Who Are the Stranger, collected poems from 1979 to 1989. And I'll be reading from it in my feature at the Saturday Literary Salon on Zoom on November 1st, which is a Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern. So anyway, I'll just read two from it, and they're not too long, so bear with me. The finest poem I've ever written was scribbled while Ramona was showering, and I sat in a cat hair drenched easy chair in her half a living room while her three fat, lazy cats prowled her little apartment for cool spots. Into that poem, I invested all the joy, fear, agony, mystery, and realization of a moment in which I suddenly knew how all the pieces of life fit into me in this place, in this time, now and forever. The words pulled together a becalmed, mighty, saved union of myself and the universe. I searched and searched for that poem for many days, sure that it must be in my coat pocket or somewhere near, but I never saw it after that day. Did it somehow get into that 1 year's worth of writing, which I inadvertently threw out in a stack of old newspapers? Several times I tried to recreate that poem, but could not begin to remember even the words, let alone the feeling. Who knows now if that poem ever truly existed? Or was it just some psychic metaphor for my life? And this second poem that I'm going to read seems to be hated by everyone who hears it, except for one person I wrote it about, my Russian friend Irina, 35 years ago. Irina sizzles in time and space. The air is hot where she has been. Blonde hair conceals the fire that burns inside her eyes. Thank you and have a pleasant night.
Wonderful. And I really love imaginary poems. Any which way you can configure it, it's a great idea. Great idea. Okay. Donna? Yeah, Donna's here. You're muted, Donna, if you can hear me. Oh dear.
Good, that's me. I'm not reading.
There you go. Oh, you're not reading. Oh, okay. Well, thanks for coming and listening.
Oh, I enjoy the poetry. Thank you.
Okay. David.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for all the words that I've heard tonight. It's been fantastic. A couple of messages that I'd like to leave you all with before I start reading. Number one is a shameless plug for my friend Lenny Dellarocca and his chapbook Pandemonium. And I'm not sure it's shameless if I'm plugging somebody else. So, but his book is fantastic. Definitely check it out. And secondly, like I'm aware of all the No Kings protests and stuff that are set for Saturday, And I think it's great. And I think if everybody can get out there and do what they can do, that's fine. But let's not forget that Sunday is World Food Day. And regardless, if you are left, right, center, black, white, yellow, green, there's a basic human dignity to not being hungry. So let's remember that Sunday is World Food Day. I am participating in the Moonstone Arts Center reading and their anthology. And I'm going to read for you, if you'll tolerate two of my poems, I'm going to read one of the poems that I'm going to read on Sunday. And it's called It's Patisserie Week on the Great British Baking Show. It's patisserie week on the Great British Baking Show, but we don't know what patisserie means. So I Google and learn that it's French for bake shop. We settle on the couch, split a bottle of wine still full from dinner. The contestants unveil signature bakes, take on technical challenges, and work to become the week's star baker. They know, and we know, there's a better chance a buttercream lightning bolt sizzles through the kitchen tent where they create than getting a Paul Hollywood handshake. We watch this on Netflix every week, but we're most impressed by the showstoppers, and that's when we get it. This isn't just food-colored dough, it's art. Flour is canvas. These confectionery concoctions depict slices of their memories, backyard landscapes of their childhoods, maybe even a dream scene of sleeping dragons stuffed after a dessert of creme pat stuffed mushroom stools. Their bakes tell the story of their youth, and when I blink, I think of mine, poking fun at those old commercials, Sally Struthers pleading for donations to feed starving children, thinking, oh, that doesn't really happen. But now I realize these creations are made of bread. This is food, after all. Do they throw away what's left after the cameras stop rolling? Do they donate some to needy families? There are dozens of cooking shows and an entire food network. So how many tons of dinners and desserts get tossed? After we binge watch, I Google food insecurity in America and turn off the TV. And thank you. I'd like to read one more, which is actually a brand new poem that I was working on tonight. So it has nothing to do with food or politics or anything. It's called We See the World from 27,000 Feet and It Never Ends. Our flight attendant serves us the sky condensed into a plastic package of peanuts, and we tell each other we're astronauts soaring over a Google Earth image. Blue lakes, brown terrain, green and white baseball diamonds below, the only things we make out, and the fields glimmer somewhere between the sun and the halogen lamplight. Most passengers sleep, the others draw their shades, but you and I are like pilots, holding hands as we maneuver through clouds swaying in the atmosphere, those angelic ballerinas of the sky. We navigate through our open shade, but sense something is wrong. Maybe lovers like us are falling. Maybe governments like ours have fallen. Maybe we can find a cure for the common sadness when we land. Maybe we'll find love in the arms of an old letter carrier with a leather satchel slung over their right shoulder, pounding pavement, delivering something more than junk mail. Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent, Dave. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
I got that $20 waiting for you, Dave.
Sounds good, Lenny. I take Venmo, Zelle.
Carrier pigeon. Kim, are you ready?
I was wondering if it was okay if I read a really short story.
Sure. Can you keep it around 5 or 6 minutes or so?
Oh, yeah.
All righty.
It's called Catherine. Don't leave me this way. This was my jam. I have been saying goodbye to folks all my life, not sure where I came from. I was just passed from hand to hand, From house to house, just like a bad penny, I'd turn up in the strangest places. After old Uncle Buddy died, I was moved again for the seventh time, or maybe it was the eighth time. At 13 years old, I was moved in with Cousin Kate, who informed me that I was to call her Sister Mother Catherine and never ever anything else. You see, Sister Mother, the good Catherine, was one of those saints who gets on crowded subway stations and commence to hollering and yelling, Jesus, forgive them, for they know not what they have done. She would dress in cleric clothes, but she was still big and beautiful. You see, you could still see her pretty all folded up on whole behind her passion for the word. I went with her one time. Her voice drowned out the noise of the speeding train. She said that it was up to me whether to accompany her again. And after that one time of passing my hat for Jesus, it was it for me. You should have seen the looks I got from people. Sister Mother Catherine and I slept in the same bed sometimes. Weird, right? Without warning, she would climb in and say, Shimmy over. She would tell me stories until I fell off to sleep. She didn't sweeten them up at all. I thought she would have sweetened them up on account of my age and all, but she only knew how to tell the truth and nothing but. It turns out that Sister Mother Catherine was the best home out of all my homes. We cooked together and even read the good book from cover to cover. Sister Mother Catherine had a way of explaining the Bible that tickled my funny bones, something awful. And I wasn't allowed to giggle or wiggle in my seat or nothing. So I took to yawning to hide a belly laugh when she interpreted the scripture. It was something about the way that she said, Beware and heed the word of the Lord. She said it over and over again, even during the happy parts of the Bible. One night, she climbed into bed with me. Did I say it was a tiny bed? The funny thing was that I had never had any skin on skin closeness before, not knowing my parents at all. I started to look forward to her warm, round body pushed close to mine. It was like a big old anchor of sorts. She was a sweet woman, but parts of her mind were younger than my mind. Over time, she gave me a tiny piece of her life and stories. She vowed never to marry. No man would come between her and the Lord ever again. It was like a serial. Every couple of nights, I'd learn a little bit more, only the story got sad. It was more about revenge and using the Lord to cover up her sins. She slowly confessed that she had done away with her pastor many years ago. He was a filthy snake if there ever was one. He had deflowered her. By the time she figured out where things were headed, when she realized that the pastor was made of flesh, it was too late. He was already bearing down on her, she said. She cried and said, I would have followed that man to hell and back. So I just wasn't thinking that he might be nasty and do that to me. I was 19 and I was pure. Beware and heed the word of the Lord. Only he and her Lord, knows what done away with him means. She never, she looked at me sideways and she never told me that part. Over the years, she continued to witness and yell out warnings on crowded subways. I didn't tell her secret to a living soul, not one, because I wanted to stay with her always. You see, she was the best home I had ever had. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Love that.
That's haunting and beautifully written.
Yes.
Every line. You say it's prose, I accept that, but it's lyrical rationalism. It's an expression from the heart that somehow makes it out in plain talk, plain speech. It resonates so much, what you wrote.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
It was not contrived. So many people today play a minority card and talk and beat their breast, but they can't name a single hardship that they really went through. And you just brought us home. You just brought us home.
Thank you, Scott.
I want to say before I read as the last reader that thank you, Betty, for your beautiful reading tonight. Really,
Greg, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I'm on the list too. It's Beth.
yeah. Oh, Beth, I'm so sorry. Did I skip you?
Yeah.
Oh, for goodness sake, silly me. Okay, I'm so sorry, Beth. I love what you write. Okay, here we go.
Okay, I changed everything because of Betty's reading. So I'm in there with you. You're still around. I'm in the octogenarian category too, but just so. And I loved what you wrote, the poems about your mom. So I'm going to be reading from my latest book, A Yellowed Notebook. It really is about my father's life, but my mom's in there too. And this is called Memorabilia. My mother was a thrower. We moved too many times in mother's attempt to better herself. And each time we changed our address, or she had a fight with a family member, she purged more and more of our family history. She gave one grandson my father's watch and gold chain for graduation. He claimed they were stolen after he left, got his own apartment, but I suspect he sold them for food or rent money. Another offspring got my father's jade ring. Haven't seen it in 20 years. I rescued the modern library collection, our ration cards from World War II, copies of the books my father wrote. My nephew has the photo album and the chess set. But I have letters replete with Polonius-like advice and my father's pencil-scrawled, yellowed notebook. And I'm going to read one more about my mom. I just want to let you know that the book just won the first prize in poetry and memoir from the International Fireberg Book Awards, and I'm really happy and proud of that. So
Mazel,
thanks.
mazel.
Yes, yeah, it was really good. Okay, this is after my dad died. In her later years, my mother was in a nursing home, so this is called Move-In Day at the nursing home. My sister and I took our mother to a nearby restaurant before we had to check her in. We had tried to help Fanny stay in her apartment with a home aide. We would hire them, she would fire them. Fanny accused one of stealing, another of using the phone to make long-distance calls. The last one was intolerable. Our mother was a hard woman. If we cried when we were children, she would stand behind us humming and playing Hearts and Flowers on an imaginary violin. Tears weren't permitted in our house. The two of us prattled on through lunch, touting all the activities Fanny would enjoy in the home. Bingo, Metropolitan Opera videos, ice cream sundaes on Sunday. She stared down at her pasta bowl, unresponsive until dessert. Know what today is? My 65th wedding anniversary. My sister pushed what was left of her tiramisu to the other side of the table. I set down my coffee cup. We both stared across the room, avoiding Fanny's eyes. When I looked back, I watched one tear fall down my mother's face. Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, I'm so happy you were here too. That was
Yeah.
riveting. You have such an elegant, emotional voice in your writing. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Well, I hope y'all do scroll up or down to see how people responded to your writing tonight. And I will now go next. And forgive me for my little glitches and rough spots. I'm not as, I don't know, naturally well-oiled and sprocketed like Mike is. Or something like that. Okay. All right. I appreciate the honesty and deliberateness and toughness of some of the readings tonight, which makes me choose this. This is a piece called Once in a While. Once in a while, I chew my arms to get through, you know, to reconcile violence with la calma, to recreate in an organized way the terror and violence inside, to pull it out. Have you ever been at someone's mercy? Or three boys' mercy? And then in the next moment at their mercy, and then in the next moment at their mercy? Added up in dim memory, pretensions of remembrance. It was 5 nights and 5 days. Days of dread, nights of blood and horror. Vincent Price, Peter Lorre, Boris Karloff were comedians. Klaus Kinski, Delans, Cheney, posers. We lack the vocabulary. Think tearing, cringe. They raped me again and again. I became a superstructure of holes. It persists like a machine under siege. Do you feel me? I've tried to write it again and again. Here I am at it again. Why can't my words penetrate? Ugly words. I withdraw from testimony, from exposition, from deliverance. What those boys did to young me was a battering, rapes, stripping to sinew, hours of dread, hours of skinned alive, of burning on every side, pouring out. I don't want you to know. I want you to know. I don't want you to know. I want you to know. I am an actor. I am utterly out of place in this world. In spite of megadose antipsychotics, in spite of moral pledges to my daughters, in spite of spite itself, I still want to go away forever. Sisyphus et tu. I am never ordinary. I don't settle or close or resolve. Bim bam, zing zang, sizzle snap, grunt pressure, white hot light. Truth is not a noun. It is adjective. We are doomed by language and binocular vision to leave each other out. Life will snip infinity at the root for me, but rape ruined my only chance here. Okay, Now I'll put on my host hat again. I appreciate y'all listening. I know that was some rough stuff.
Can I say something?
Sure, anybody can. We're wrapping up now.
When you said, "I want you to know, I don't want you to know," I'm going to try to keep it together here. It's always the same for every rape victim.
I know. It is. It's the same bloody.
Always the same.
Yeah, it is the same. You lose your dignity, you lose your autonomy.
And the fear of
And
the fear of being found out by others.
Yeah.
Is as much as the fear of the rape itself.
Yeah. It took me until my 50s to even say it to my partner.
Thank you for.
I did get an apology from the Assistant Attorney General for the state of Missouri, because this happened in an institution. It happened in a jail. So I have that for whatever that's worth.
And would you please, I don't mean to be indelicate, but why were you in the institution? What happened?
I was
Again.
declared an incorrigible runaway in the late 60s. And Missouri, you can Google it, or I can provide links. They had one of two states with these absolutely medieval laws that were aimed 99% of the time at non-white juvenile delinquents. And it meant that you could be committed at the age of 12 to adult lockup.
Is that where you were?
No, I was in one of the feeder facilities in St. Louis, Missouri. I think 100% of the kids I was in there with went on to Boonville. And Boonville was a stepping stone to either Agora, the adult lockup in Missouri, or to Wentworth Military Academy, which was a wholly operated arm of the US Army. It was a particularly medieval kind of thing, but to be more accurate, it was fundamentalist Methodism, which is that close to Calvinism, if you understand the horror that is Calvinism. Yeah.
Did you escape that?
I was rescued after 5 weeks. My mom had given up on me, but then she started dating a full professor of psychology. And as soon as she told him, he came and he kicked my natural father's ass in court. Yeah, because, because he was a tenured professor of psychology. So lightning strike miracle for me. Yeah, it came too late, but it came. I appreciate y'all's interest. I appreciate y'all's.
Not easy to avoid institutionalization. And again, I don't mean to be quite so self-centered, but my story is very convoluted and it's not the usual story, but I was, by that much I escaped. I have been through attempts to institutionalize me, and through my wits and some support by people in the community, I managed to avoid it because I realized what I would have been going to, which many people don't want to see.
I hope you write about it first person. Tell your story, Scott.
It's so much of it seems like just whining because it doesn't seem like I went through all that much, but that's the point. If I hadn't fought back tooth and nail and consistently.
So tell your story.
It would have been.
Yeah, tell it to yourself. Whatever you do with it
Well,
later.
I should put it down.
Yeah.
Some of it shows in the poetry.
Yeah. I bet it does. Sounds right. Well, thank you all.
Can I say one thing? I
Sure.
taught for 40 years. Here's what it taught me. I've got a 25-year-old son living with me. He's adopted. He's half Puerto Rican and half Black. As you can see, I'm neither. And we're also helping 2 other kids out too. I really wish if people didn't want to have children, they wouldn't. Because to be honest, so many times they just bring misery into the world. But
Yeah.
you all were gifts, and that's something you all have to remember.
Yeah. Okay. Well said. Well said, Chris. Thank you. Well, we're
Thanks,
a
Chris.
supportive group. I like how supportive this community is and always continues to be. You know, we're entering our 27th year.
Wow.
Ooga, 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 ooga. So that's cool. Yay. We end on a high note, finally. Okay. Yay. All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming. This this was a good night. Good night.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank
Yeah, you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
thank you to Betty also. She's still
Oh,
there.
big thanks
Oh,
for
thank
that.
you,
Betty,
Betty.
you're,
Thank you,
you're
Greg.
gorgeous.
Thank you, all the
Betty, you're
readers.
gorgeous.
You
Beautiful.
sell it, Betty. You really do. Yeah,
Hot stuff.
comes through. Hot stuff,
The
Betty.
dish.
That's right. That's
The
right.
dish.
Hot stuff.
It's been a
All
good
right.
night for me. I've really enjoyed reading and I taking it in.
Oh, good, good. You dish you.
Yes. Hot stuff.
That's great. Thank you, everybody. This was a
I'm a dish
great
too
night.
somewhere underneath all this. There's dishness, a dish-esque. I don't know. All right, everybody.
Everybody be well.
See you in a couple of
Look
weeks.
great.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks,
All right.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Beautiful.